Morning all. All right, starting things off with a news of the day video for today, as well as previewing tonight's action. 12 games. They'll all be on at the same time. I shall do my best to follow what I can. We'll get through that in a bit. But first off, with the news of the day, Andrew Kopp is out for the season. He had surgery to repair a left pectoral tendon. Sounds painful. And you could tell on the play. And it's interesting because they were mad that he'd thrown an elbow, but you could see that as he's going down, you could see something wasn't right, and Kopp left the game immediately, and now he's out for the season for the Detroit Red Wings. So that frees up more cap space. They can throw him on LTIR. With the Husso trade yesterday, Kopp going in LTIR, I would think they could do that. And so we'll see what Detroit does with their newfound cap space. Eriksson injured because that's the lot in life for the Minnesota Wild this season. He realized it after practice, so the phrasing on this has changed a bit. It initially sounded like he got hurt during practice. Now it sounds like he was hurt before practice and realized after practice just the severity of it. So he's been placed on IR. He has to miss a week's worth of action. Lauko is likely to be activated before tonight's game. But of course, Jacob Lauko is not the same player as Eriksson. So we'll see how things go for the Minnesota Wild tonight. Winnipeg, Scheifele, now the all-time franchise leader in goals with 329. Kudos to him for reaching that number. And when I say franchise total, it includes the Atlanta Thrashers. So Mark Scheifele, the all-time leading goal scorer, and the Jets win their 10th in a row, of course, last night, meaning there will be a Winnipeg Jets video later on today discussing their 10-game winning streak, looking at that, and at their season, where they stand now compared to previous seasons, all that kind of fun stuff. So look forward to that. For the Dallas Stars, Bichsel is in concussion protocol, so he will not play tonight against Columbus. Hopefully, he's back soon. But Bischel's been good since his call-up, and so Dallas has some very good young players. Stankoven's going to be coming into the lineup tonight, too. Beck is out. And in Oiler news, Stuart Skinner will start tonight against Tampa. Jeff Skinner's a healthy scratch again. Jeff Skinner's been a healthy scratch kind of regularly for Edmonton this season, especially recently. And so we'll see what the Oilers do at the deadline because early in their last game, there's the right terminology I'm looking for. Early in their last game, when they're showing the lines and just looking at those lines, and when they've got Nugent Hopkins playing down the middle, you realize Edmonton desperately needs a little more help on the wing. And I know that may seem like it's a year after year after year thing, but just looking at their lineup, that's all I could think was they really need some wingers. I know eventually Vander Kane's going to be coming back, but I think they need at least one top six winger. I would think at the trade deadline. We'll see what they do. Ohio Stadium was unveiled today and showing that they're all set up for the Stadium Series. The Stadium Series is kind of buried, though, on Saturday. It starts at 6 o'clock Eastern, which is 3 o'clock Pacific, but there are 13 games on Saturday. So at 3 o'clock my time, it's on. It's the only game on at that point, but then at 4 o'clock, a bunch of games get started, so it gets 1 hour of undivided attention, I guess, from hockey fans. It should be a fun game, though. 21 pilots are going to perform in between the first and second, I do believe. And so, yeah, it should be a fun game. I'm wearing the huge cannon, the brand new Stadium Series jersey from Columbus, which does have this really fun sparkly silver on the sleeves. I wouldn't mind them keeping this as a third, to be honest, even if that meant retiring the other third. I know everybody loves the cannon like I do. Well, not everybody, but anyways, I think this one's nice, and I think it deserves to get a little more than just an outdoor game and a couple more games the rest of the way, I would think. But we'll see what they do. Columbus can be kind of unpredictable in terms of what they do with their design choices. Look at reverse retros 1 and 2 for examples. All right, so let's go ahead and get into tonight's action. We have 12 games tonight in the National Hockey League. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, starting at 7 Eastern, 4 Pacific. 2 a half an hour later, 3 a half an hour after that, and then 1 starting at 9 Eastern, 6 Pacific. So it will be up to 12 games. At this time of the season, what I do is I will focus more on the games that have playoff implications than the games that don't. So starting at 7 Eastern, 4 Pacific, this definitely has playoff implications. It's Toronto in Boston against the Bruins. This should be an interesting one. Toronto 35-20-2 overall. They're 6-4 in their last 10. They are 1 point ahead of Florida atop the division. Boston 27, 24, and 7. They're 4, 5, and 1 in their last 10. They're 1 point out of the playoffs. 1 point behind the Ottawa Senators, who are idle tonight. So Boston, who does not have games in hand on anybody around them, I don't believe, they're going to need to get some winning going, and who knows, maybe Toronto will be exactly what the doctor ordered. 7 Eastern, 4 Pacific start between Anaheim and Buffalo. These are two teams that are pretty far out of the playoffs right now, so again, this game would get a little less attention from me. Anaheim 25, 24, and 7 overall, 7, 2, and 1 in their last 10. They are 6 points back of Vancouver for that final wildcard spot. Whereas Buffalo, 23, 27, and 5 overall. They're 6 and 4 in their last 10, but they're 11 points behind Ottawa in that final playoff spot, so they're not making it to the playoffs. 7 Eastern, 4 Pacific start between Carolina and Montreal. The Canes, 33, 20, and 4 overall. They're 5, 4, and 1 in their last 10. They're tied with New Jersey for second place in the division. Keep in mind they're better at home than they are on the road, so we'll see how things go in Montreal. The Habs, 26, 26, and 5 overall. They're 2, 7, and 1 in their last 10, but they had a big win their last night out. They're 5 points behind Ottawa for that final playoff spot in the East. 7 Eastern, 4 Pacific start. The Battle of Pennsylvania. Both of these teams sitting far enough outside of the playoffs that this game might not get a lot of attention from me either. Pittsburgh, 23, 27, and 9 overall. They're 3, 6, and 1 in their last 10. 7 points behind Ottawa for that final wildcard spot. Philadelphia, 25, 26, and 7. They're also 3, 6, and 1 in their last 10, and they're 5 points behind Ottawa in that final playoff spot. 7 Eastern, 4 Pacific start between the Calgary Flames and the Washington Capitals. Calgary, 27, 21, and 8 overall. They're 4, 5, and 1 in their last 10. They're 1 point behind the Vancouver Canucks, who are idle tonight, so Calgary has a chance to jump into a playoff spot. The Capitals, 38, 11, and 8. They're 6, 1, and 3 in their last 10. And they're 14 points ahead of Carolina for first place in their division. I think they're going to win the Metro. I have a feeling that they may win the Metro. 7 Eastern, 4 Pacific start as well between Dallas and Columbus. So this is the last of the 7 o'clock Eastern, 4 o'clock Pacific starts. Dallas, 37, 18, and 2 overall. They're 8, 1, and 1 in their last 10. They're 4 points clear of Minnesota for second place in the division. They're nowhere near Winnipeg. I didn't even see a point putting it on the board. Columbus, 27, 22, and 8 overall. They're 5, 4, and 1 in their last 10. They are tied with Ottawa for that second wild card spot. They can jump ahead of them by a couple of points. Ottawa, of course, I believe regulation wins. They have the tiebreaker on Columbus, so Columbus is going to need to finish ahead of Ottawa if they want to get in, and also ahead of everybody else chasing Ottawa, or else they miss at that rate. Anyways, 7:30 Eastern, 4:30 Pacific start between the Edmonton Oilers and the Tampa Bay Lightning. The Oilers 34, 19, and 4, 5, 4, and 1 in their last 10, looking to put behind them a very ugly weekend of hockey. They're 2 points back of the Vegas Golden Knights. So Vegas lost last night. Edmonton looking to jump back into a tie for first in the division with a win tonight. Tampa Bay, 32, 20, and 4 overall. They're 7, 2, and 1 in their last 10. They're only 3 points back of Florida. So what's interesting is Tampa Bay with some strong play. Florida looking a little bit more vulnerable recently, and now they're going to be without Tkachuk for a while. Tampa Bay is in the running to maybe end up third in the division. We'll see how that all works out. 7:30 Eastern, 4:30 Pacific start between the Rangers and the Islanders, the Battle of New York. Both of these teams below the playoff line, however. The Rangers 28, 25, and 4. They're 5 and 5 in their last 10. They're 2 points behind Ottawa for that final playoff spot. The Islanders 25, 24, and 7 overall. They're 6 and 4 in their last 10. They are 5 points behind Ottawa for that final playoff spot in the East. So a lot of teams within 5 points of that final wildcard spot. 8 Eastern, 5 Pacific start between Seattle and St. Louis. So the Blues at home against the Kraken. The Kraken 25, 30, and 4 overall. They're 4, 5, and 1 in their last 10. They're 9 points behind Vancouver for that final playoff spot in the West. St. Louis 26, 26, and 6. 3, 5, and 2 in their last 10. They are 5 points behind Vancouver for that final playoff spot in the West. 8 Eastern, 5 Pacific start between Florida and Nashville. So the Panthers in Nashville. Panthers 34, 21, and 3 overall. They're 6 and 4 in their last 10. They're 1 point behind the Toronto Maple Leafs for first place in the division. Nashville 20, 29, and 7 overall. They're 3 and 7 in their last 10. However, Nashville plays well against good teams, and I don't see any reason why that won't be the case tonight either. The Nashville Predators are 16 points behind the Vancouver Canucks. It's a lot. So yeah, Nashville pretty far out of the playoff picture. 8 Eastern, 5 Pacific start between Detroit and Minnesota. Detroit 29, 22, and 6 overall. 8-1-1 in their last 10, playing very, very well. They're 4 points behind Tampa. So Tampa's closing in on Florida, but Detroit's not letting Tampa Bay get out of their sights either. Things are not settled in the Atlantic, which makes things more interesting. Minnesota 34-19-4 overall. They're 6-4 in their last 10. They're 4 points ahead of Colorado. So with a win tonight, they can pull 6 points ahead of Colorado and kind of leave them in that wild card spot. I don't know if that's great for Minnesota. Like, I just look at all the first round matchups that are possible, and all I think is they really need to get healthy. And then finally, 9 o'clock Eastern, 6 o'clock Pacific start. Chicago is in Utah against the Utah Hockey Club. Chicago 17-33-7, 2-5-3 in their last 10. 22 points behind the Vancouver Canucks in that final playoff spot in the West. Whereas Utah 25-24-9, they're 4-4-2 in their last 10. But nobody's running away with the West, so they're only 4 points back of the Vancouver Canucks. They can move within 2. If you're a Utah fan, you might be rooting for Washington tonight as well, so that you have that access to maybe passing Calgary relatively soon as well. So Utah's not out of this. Let me know your thoughts and your picks in the comment section below as always. Don't forget to hit like and subscribe in the event you may not have done so already. Thank you guys so much for all your support as always. I will talk to you again soon.